Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Cardano's ADA. This is going to be a lower time frame video. We do have a higher time frame video up above, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. Let's get into the charts. Following up to some of our other ideas here, what I want to just go over is a couple of the bigger picture ideas that we're looking at here. So one of them is that we are looking at the possibility that we could see something like this, where this is an A wave, this is a B wave, and we're looking for this flat correction to the upside. Now, common target area for this would actually be here towards this 6376 to this 4959 as a potential expanding flat here. Now we do also have some lower targets here towards this 1-to-1 if this is going to be turning into something as a running flat, but given the structure, unless we actually form something here like some kind of a diagonal pattern like this, it would be very unlikely that this 1-to-1 would be where we're looking to target out if this is in fact going to develop into a C wave. Now it is also possible we could see something like this where this is WX and we actually just get a 3-wave move to the upside and this just becomes a bigger WX and a Y. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. If that's the case, then this 1-to-1 target could potentially be an interesting zone. Alternatively, up here we do have the 1236 and the 1382 sitting towards this 54.99 and this 49.59, which is also a common area for this. So if we do just see something like this as a 3-wave move, this would still tie into the bigger picture here that this is just a bigger corrective move, and that we'll still be looking for that possibility of continuation to the downside afterwards. Now, another way that we were discussing this within the macro is looking for this possibility of a diagonal pattern or exactly a 5th wave to the downside. We were looking for the potential that this was actually developing into it, but then we've actually moved up to high. Now the only way this fits anymore as a possible 5-wave structure would have to be as a diagonal pattern, and what you'd have to argue is that this is wave 1, we've got this as a wave 2, we're looking for a 3-wave move for 3, 4, and then 5. Now the key thing here is that if we are looking at this as a diagonal, wave 3 cannot cross this zone here of this 1807, otherwise this invalidates this potential of looking at this, because wave 3 is not allowed to be longer than wave 1 unless it's going to become something like an expanding diagonal, but these are not as common as the contracting variation. So we're looking for the downside possibility here of this 3rd wave as long as this high holds here. If we do look to break down in 5-wave structure here, this would start to tie into this idea here. Now, what we also need to be cautious of here is there is potential that we could be saying that what we could have here is something like a triangle, where effectively this is an A wave, this is B, C, C3 waves to the downside for this D wave and this E wave. Now, a common target for this as a D wave would actually be here towards this 2711 to this 2473 zone. So that would be our typical D wave location if we're looking at this as a C wave. Now this would be measuring off of the C wave relationship. Sometimes we won't get this relationship. We always need to be careful that we don't get something smaller here where this becomes DE and then it breaks down directly from there. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that as well. But my primary expectation, if this is going to be a triangle, is to see something more along these lines, where we could then look to complete this E wave over here and then look for that breakdown later. So if we do stay within this range here, invalidation of this is this 46 cent 17 to this 22 cent. As long as we are within this zone, potentially we could see this develop as a triangle instead of that idea of seeing this play out as a diagonal to the downside. We could see something like a horizontal triangle actually playing out here. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that as well if we are looking at that structure. Now we were looking at this possibility that this was 1 2 1 2, and then we're looking for this continuation down, but we came up too high, so this is actually invalidated. So I'm going to remove that off the accounts now. Okay, so let's focus in on this little move to the upside here and what we could actually look to see within this, and what we need to see for both that bullish and that bearish case to actually play out. So the problem is what we were looking for in the previous video as a breakout here was looking for this idea where we could have this as 1 2 1 2 here, and then we were looking for this potential of this being coming 1 2 3 4 and 5 to the upside. Now we did actually hit this 1618 target, but the problem is the way the structure is actually played out here, it's not looking likely anymore. We could also argue there's another 1 2 here and another 1 2 here, which would be super bullish, but it would just be a lot of 1 2s in a row. So what I think is more likely is that if we are looking for this idea of an impulse, what we could actually see is that this whole move here is 1 2 3 4 5 as a diagonal. This is a wave 2. What we could actually be getting is a secondary 1 2 here. Now this would be quite bullish and is only valid for as long as we hold this 2781. What we'd actually want to see here, however, for confirmation from our current level would be a move up towards 4950. Anything less than this would mean that we could just be forming a corrective structure up here. So this is going to be our confirmation. If we do see something like this and we start to form some 1s and 2s lower down here, then we see a 3 4 5 4 5, something to that effect, where we then look to push towards this 49.50. Possibly this would then be looking for this third wave. We'd get a fourth wave down, fifth wave up, and then we'd be looking for that potential of an additional fourth and a fifth here, where we could look to push up as high as this zone as this 60 cents to this 55 cents 98. Now, if we overlay that idea of the flat, this would actually put us straight into this target box here, where we typically looking for this as an expanding flat. So this is why I'm just keeping an eye on this possibility of actually forming something to the upside in such a way. So if we do form this as a bigger 1 2 1 2, what we're looking for is this is confirmation, and invalidation of this would be this 27.81. Another way that we could look at this is that this is just a corrective structure to the upside here, and what we could have is that this move could just be an A wave to the upside. Now, if this is the case, we could still potentially look for that idea of seeing continuation to the upside here, where what we would say is that instead of looking for that C wave, we're looking for this as ABC for a Y wave. So this would be valid for as long as we stay above this 22 cent region. If we start to break down below this 786 here of this 24.72, it starts to become less likely that we're going to see this play out in this way. What I would be looking for here then is the potential that we could see something like this. So if we fail to develop a good impulsive structure up, what we could eventually see is 3 waves to the upside. Now, if we stay below this target box area here of this 36.06 to this 32.78, potentially what we could then look for is just a 3-wave move to the upside here, followed by continuation down. Now, we haven't really come up into the zone I would be looking for as a rejection. I'd like to see at least this 382 getting hit here towards this 32.78. But what we could still do is start to form, some more of a corrective structure, something that has a time relationship similar to this A wave that we've got just. So on the lookout for this idea of seeing a bit of an upside push here, but in corrective structure in this corrective move. 36.06 is going to be the key zone here. We don't want to go above if we are looking for this bearish continuation. And what this could just mean is that we start to see price move down for this B wave at a later date here. So we have actually come down in here and really hit this 382. So we always need to be careful that there isn't just a short wave in here and we do see another push to the upside. Alternatively, we've still got this idea of pushing down. So we need to keep an eye on this. If we do see price look to come back down here, potentially an interesting area would be this golden pocket here towards this 27 cents to this 26.62. But as well as that, if we look to actually come back and sweep all these lows, this 786 could be kind of an interesting zone lower down here. Though we need to be careful, because if we start pushing down towards this 786 area, we always have the potential that this move could be looking to invalidate. Now, once again, same sort of idea here, looking for a 3-wave move to the upside. A, B, C, 1 to 1 would be this 46 cents 64, which if I throw this onto here would also align with this idea of seeing, a move up towards this 1 to 1 and this 1 2 3 6 area. So this would be an interesting zone because of this high here. If we do look to sweep this, possibly this could then align with something like a swing failure here and that continuation to the downside. Obviously, that's not confirmed yet. We need to wait for the price action to confirm this if we do start reaching these levels. Okay, so now we're going to come in here and we're going to focus in on this idea here that we could be looking to extend out, where this is 1 2. Now, what we are looking for within this shorter term move here is that this structure to the upside is looking like it potentially could be a 5-wave move. Now, I wouldn't like to say that this is completed already. It is technically possible that this could be 1 2 3 4 and 5 already, and then we're looking for a bigger 3-wave move to the downside. Now, if we're looking to actually get a direct push up here, where we're looking for either a 5-wave move that has not completed, in which case we're going to get 1 2 3 4 5 up into this zone of this 33.14 before looking for a retracement down. Or alternatively, that we complete here, we get ABC. Invalidation of any of this turning into a bigger impulse is actually here at this 29.96. Breaking down below that would invalidate that potential that we're looking to push up directly from here. But, technically speaking, we could still look to find support above this level here of this 27 cent 81, but once we start to lose 786, it starts to become less likely. And looking at the current structure, I wouldn't like to see this get much bigger. Otherwise, it's more likely it's turning into that corrective move. Now, if we do see something like this as a 5-wave move, what we want to see, like I said, is forming this as a wave 1 2 3 4 and 5 to the upside. Now, that would be the first part of actually seeing this structure complete. The problem is, what we need to be careful of is if this just makes 3 waves up, this could align with that idea that this becomes A, B, and then we see that C wave down. So need to actually get good 5-wave structure developing here. At the moment, we just have a 3-wave move up. We can potentially argue that it's completed as a 5-wave move, but I would be more confident in it if we do get this additional 5th wave, though nonetheless, as long as we hold this 30 cent 33, we can look for that potential of continuation to the upside here. So the key thing is, like I said, if we're looking for this count here, we're looking for this target of this 49.50. We're a long way away from that. The first thing we need to do as starting to make that building block of getting up there is form a 5-wave move, get a 3-wave move, retrace, find support, possibly form another 1-2, something like this, and then look for that continuation up, or alternatively just form this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then come back down and find support once again. Key zone is going to be this low here. If we hold this, we have that potential to continue to the upside here in this way. If we lose this level here, it starts to become less likely, and then effectively losing 27.81 would make more sense that we are in that corrective structure. Okay, so having a look at the daily CPR lines here, we can see that we have actually come up past our central lines here. We've actually come into this R2 already, and what I'm looking for here is that if we do continue to hold this R1 level here at this 31.57, possibly we could see price start to be gravitated towards some of these other targets for today, which would be this 33.01 and this 33.64 as possible upside targets. However, if we do start to break down and we fail to hold this level as support, which would be this 30 cent 66 to this 30 cent 88, what we could see is price could actually be gravitated to the downside, where we see price move into some of these lower targets. 30 cents 14 is one, 29.33, 28.67, and this lower level here of this 27.90 as possible targets for today. So I'm keeping an eye on these to see whether we look to hold this level here of this CPR, this central CPR lines, which could indicate we start to see some price movement back to the upside. But if we lose these, we have that potential to see price move to the downside here. Now, if we look at the weekly CPR, it's in quite an interesting level here. We have moved up into these central lines now, and we have rejected. If we look to reject in a bigger way here, possibly we could see price be gravitated towards this 26.88, which would actually align with that idea of coming back down here as a B wave. This would be an interesting zone because some of these swing lows that we have over here, and then lower down targets that we have is this 22.29 and this lower one of the 16.74 throughout this week. If we do, however, see price push back above this level, what we could see is a revisit towards this 36.97 as a R1 target, and then we do have some other targets up here towards this 42.49 and this level here of this 47.13 as potential upside targets. So we're going to keep an eye on these. If we do see price move up into these levels, could be quite interesting to see how we react around those zones. Looking at the monthly CPR here, what we can see is that we are currently holding this level. Now, this level is going to be potentially a support zone between this 30 cent 11 and this 29.15. Even if we do see price come back into this zone, if we hold this, we do have that potential. We could see price look to move back to the upside. So we have hit this R1 target already. Now, if we do see price push to the upside here, we do have potential to hit this 45.81, provided that we get it back above this this R1 target. And then we do have this higher target here. It's sitting towards the top of our channel towards this 53.56. So this would align with that idea of seeing price continue to push up here, looking for that possibility of this as a C wave to the upside. Now, to the downside here, if we start to lose those central lines, we have 21.06 as a possible target. We have this 13.42 as our S2, and we also have this 0486 as potential downside targets. Now, we don't always have to hit these. These are just potential pivot points within the market. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.